Five, four, three, two, one. Well, welcome to the weekend rundown of the LEC. I am Run, and I am here with Slink. And let's just get right into it. First game of the week, Fnatic coming off. We talked about last week. They probably had to get a 2-0 this week. Their first game, they go into Splice. They get a solid win. They looked good in the game. 9.3 was kind of what we expected. It was going to help them a lot. And I thought both teams had a good draft. I don't feel like there was any terrible mistakes there. And then some of it ended up not looking great in game, like Vizicachi on Kennedy kept getting caught out. But Fnatic right away double TP bot to protect that bot lane and play through Reckless. It seemed at first it might have cost them too much, but it seems like this is the only way they're going to win going forward.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that they got the Sivir, who's probably, I don't know, we've been talking about it, but she's probably the top 80 carry right now since the Lucian and the Ezreal are getting banned every game.
Right.
You know, she's the top of the meta of the 80 carry, so you give Reckless the top 80 carry with the new crit items. Give her friend Braum, and yeah, it's a way for him to succeed. And like you said, getting him ahead early is pretty helpful. He needs that. He doesn't seem like I don't know. I can't really name an 80 carry off the top of my head, but there's a lot of them, even Doublelift and Sneaky, I guess, to compare to the other side, where they can be behind, but then they can just pop off and come back in a team fight. When Reckless is behind it, he just doesn't seem like he's coming back. Like once he's behind,
Right.
he's just dead. He's done. So to get him ahead early was crucial, really crucial. I mean, and you see the results. They just stomped Splice.
Yeah, it was a mess. Vizicachi just kept getting caught out. Xerxes was getting
Mm-hmm.
caught out. Humanoid just, I mean, he had no chance. What's in there? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Kavi and Norscaron did what they could, I guess, but I mean, they weren't effective after, especially just even after that gank. There wasn't really much for them to do. Vizzy was just, I mean, I don't think they were going to win the game at any point. It looked like they were winning the game after the double TP bot, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't help that Vizicachi kept getting caught out either. Like for their chances to move back into the game, it wasn't helping, and it wasn't really he was getting caught out like trying to do something. You know, it was just kind of like, dude, what are you doing there? You know, you can't be down there, and that comes down to personal decisions, but that also comes down to just team decisions. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know. It was just a really good draft and a really good execution from Fnatic on the day. 9.3. They get him on Reckless, or get him on Sivir. They get him ahead. They give him a comp that can protect him with Braum, Lysandra. You're not diving him. He has his own spell shield. And they also gave him a comp that when he presses go, that's scary. You know, that's a
Yeah.
scary team running you down with a Braum, Lysandra, Olaf, and then Jace has already got you at half health. And speaking of Jace, I mean, Whipple looked really good on Jace. It was kind of nice to see him on a carry instead of a tank. This is what they've hyped about him, since Worlds, and it's one of the reasons they kept him instead of Soaz, it seems like. So it was nice to see him on something that he gets to, I don't know, express his skill a little bit. Because we saw what happened, obviously, today when they moved back to a more standard setup, and it just didn't seem to work. But Splice looked really disjointed this whole entire game. So
Yeah, their top half of their draft wasn't great. They drafted, the cast that just got the nerfs, and she's still good, but now after watching, a couple games this weekend, she's being allowed to go through. People are allowing her to play because she's not that scary, and Humanoid found that out. I mean, Phase Rush cast against the broken iteration that is Lysandra right now is not close. So, she's going to be played more, which I like because I do like Cass in pro games, but she lost some power, and you could tell going 1-5-5 on a champ that was 100% pick ban in the last patch. You can tell a lot got taken from her, and Xerxes on the J4, another champ that's been getting a lot of play here and there, and J4's always got his spot because of the arena, and once you get somebody's flash, he can isolate and kill whoever he wants to. But in League of Stopwatch, it was an okay pick. I see what you're trying to do with the Kennen and the Thresh and then the Jarvan. I mean, it's not, you don't have to be a
Hmm.
genius to see what their idea was,
Yeah.
but it just didn't work.
Yeah, it just didn't work. They just got outplayed. Um, specifically, it was a mess top lane. I mean, Blippo just,
Yeah.
he put Vizicachi in a box, and that was kind of the end of it. And I mean, Broxa was up there, sure. He was getting in on that, and Broxa's pathing is very, very good. And it just Fnatic looked finally like they had a plan and they executed it. It was something that's been a problem this whole season so far. Is that's been the biggest problem. It's not like they don't have talented people on their teams. It's it's been a macro problem. They just don't see,
Hmm.
like they seem like they have a plan, but no one's executing the plan. And Nemesis has looked. He's a rookie, so I think some of that stuff is he's very timid in there. Um, he looked like he's finally getting in fights and getting to play the game a little bit, but he hasn't looked great all season. And this is a weird stat to bring up because they won and it was a stomp, so maybe it wasn't really important. But it's just something to look at with someone like Nemesis, a younger player who's not really coming into his own, maybe not getting a chance to play because they've been getting stomped so hard in some of the games.
Mm.
But like he ended the game with 272 farm. Now he's 50 behind Humanoid. He's third on the team in farm. Um, it's just it's a low number for a mid laner, someone
Yeah.
who's going to be in. And again, there's a lot of circumstances in the game where that's a pointless stat to bring up, and it is because they won, and maybe he just didn't need to farm because they were smashing them. Reckless 9-1 with 430 farm, stuff like that. So I mean that might not be a big deal, but I don't think this has been the only one. I think that's been kind of something like he's not getting his out of the game and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
You look at the stats. Like he only did 13,000 damage to champions. Um, and in pro games, those numbers are always a lot lower. But Blippo's 24, Reckless 24,000. Even Humanoid, who's 1 and 5, did 15,000. Jinx
Yeah.
did 17,000. And you're on a winning team. You're 3-1 and 14, 14 assists, and you're only 13,000 damage to champions. So it just they got a really good win, and I was glad for them. Like we talked last week, you need Fnatic to be good. They're the ambassadors of your league. Them and G2. You don't
Yeah.
want them to be bad as a fan of the game, you know. But as we'll see when we get to their second game, um, he's they're gonna have to start making some changes going forward here.
I agree.
But the next game of the day, we got OG versus XL. Ah, yikes. Um, I felt like XL had a good draft. You know, um, I don't. I just don't know if they're good enough to. I don't know if they're. I don't know if they had any chance of winning the game. I don't. I don't. I don't know if the draft mattered, really. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Yep.
it's. I mean, they they draft a York into the Urgot. They got Lee Sin. They got LeBlanc mid. They got Ezreal Braum bot, and they gave up Sivir, and I don't really know what else to say about that situation. It's just XL looks a little lost in the sense that maybe they're just not good enough to. Yeah, it's just to execute that with it. It was Special's first game, right? So they put him on
Mm-hmm.
LeBlanc mid, and people, you hear it in the cast. They're like, "That's a pretty big champion to put someone on their first game." I don't think so because if you're a mid laner superstar coming up, this is your first pro game. It's not like he doesn't know how to play LeBlanc, right? So that
Right.
was probably more
Right.
comfortable for him, if anything. But one of their guys that you expect to be really solid going forward is Kasing, and he just makes a huge misplay bot for first blood, and then it just kind of went to hell from there. And I mean, they were up 10k gold, and the game just kind of got out of hand after that point. Um,
Yeah, it was cool to see the York, though. I mean, I think that's kind of a neat counter to this whole Urgot Scion
Right.
meta that we're in. I always like to see people trying to do some off the wall stuff, but I don't know if Expect is just not, is he not good enough, or is it really not that good of a pick? I don't know. Urgot's so broken, it's hard to say, but
Yeah.
0-5-2 on the York is not gonna cut it. But like you say, they're just playing against a superior team. I don't think I ever expected them to, really win that one. Origin's
Yeah.
playing well,
I
and they're
agree.
really, really coming along.
Yeah. Origin, they're definitely coming along. I mean, and again, uh, we've talked about it before. They have a lot of eyes on them because of someone like DeFicio. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's going to be important. A lot of people are big fans of DeFicio. Miss having him on the cast. I'm one of them. I missed having DeFicio around on there.
Oh
But
yeah.
you can, they have good players. It's not like they don't have good players, and the organization has a strong history of putting together good teams, especially with the people they've brought in to run the place, and it just looks really good, and I'm happy for them. That's a team I think you want to see be good and start going forward, and they had a great weekend, and we'll get to their second game, which was
Yep.
a massive win today. Uh, but there's not much to say about this game other than OG just outclassed XL. XL did what they could. They had a decent draft.
Yeah,
They
they did
tried a
have a
rookie
decent
mid,
draft.
and they're not as good as OG, and OG's looking really good right now.
hmm
Um, Game three, we have Vitality versus SK. So this this was an interesting game. SK had a pretty decent lead for a second there. I wouldn't say they looked like they were in control of the game, um, but it's they had kind of there was a fight top, and then Urgot showed up. I mean, he teleports into three people, dominates them all. Wild Drinks is excited, and you're looking at it going, how can this guy go another? How can this champion go another patch without any type of nerfs whatsoever? You nerf Scion because of stuff like this in lane, and this guy teleports into a losing fight and just starts mowing everybody down. While the Jinx, who's fed at this point, let's get that straight too.
hmm
You know, this is a Jinx who ended 7-1 on Crown Shot. Is excited, and it was like he wasn't taking any damage. He just walked into the fight, did whatever he felt like doing. It was a really weird situation, uh, but it wasn't going to get Vitality back into the game. I mean, Cabochard had 7 kills, and I mean, I guess he had a decent game, but it was Urgot cleanup kills. Self-made was just all over the map. He had the whole team in the bag. I mean, he was just all over Mowgli the whole entire game. Jizuke, uh, and then you have this is Vitality, right? This is what we talked about
hmm
multiple times. You either get Vitality that just goes nuts and starts stomping people. Jizuke's doing crazy things. Mowgli's invading constantly. I mean, he spends so much time in the other team's jungle. Or you get this Vitality that just gets lit up by, I mean, a good team, not a random team, but I mean, they're so volatile. Vitality's just so volatile.
Yeah, they are. And Self-Made's becoming a little bit of a star here in the
Right.
LACS. Kid's really good jungler. He's
Yeah.
fun to watch, and he plays a lot of champs too, which is really
hmm
impressive. He's been on a lot of different stuff. So, uh, both drafts were all right. Tilla pulling out a little Caitlyn with the new
hmm
9.3, so that was kind of cool to see. Didn't work out so hot, 1-3, but you're not going to win them all. I think the champ was okay, and Caitlyn Morg is a good lane. It's always been a good lane. Always will be a good lane.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've been seeing now a little too much allowing Alistair through, trying to play like Tom Kench or a Mork on the other side, thinking that's a counter. There's no counter to Alistair right now. He's just S tier support, and people letting him through. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you would. I'd rather ban him out than a couple of the bans these guys are coming up with personally. But
Like Braum.
like, yeah. I mean, so they banned Lucian Cass, who just got nerfed. Braum, who's beatable. Sedge, okay, and a Kennen. I mean, Kennen just, I mean,
Yeah, I don't get the Kennen ban
I
either
don't like
because
that ban.
one thing we've talked about is there's something that's really disgusting on Kennen right now. It's aftershock Kennen, but that's mid.
Hmm.
That's mid. It's
Right.
almost like people are misunderstanding why this is so good because they're seeing it from pro teams and stuff and going, "Oh man, this Kennen aftershock thing is crazy good," But it
Yeah.
was mid. It's not top Kennen aftershock. And I don't see what world Kennen is great into Urgot. He's
No.
fine into Scion. It's safe, I guess, but he's not gonna pick on a Scion. He gets beat by another popular range champ up top in
Hmm.
Jace. It's an awful matchup for Kennen on into Jace. I mean, I understand the Klepto Kennen top thing because it's so easy for him to proc, to get in and out, to do whatever he needs to do. Like someone was talking about on one of the casts, you just throw your Q backwards if you want to. Just make sure you're auto attacking all the time.
Right.
But I mean, as much as I like seeing Kennen because there's those hype plays, the game's too tanky for him right now, and I can see him in teams where you have an Orion. Like if you take Kennen, I see the ban there. If you take Kennen with that team with a Lee, with an Oriana and with a Jinx and an Alistair, that could be really dangerous. You all get stunned up, and then Oriana pulls you all together, and then Jinx is just teeing off on your whole entire team at one time, or three of your players, for instance. Sure, but
Hmm.
the Kennen ban, I don't know when they were going to take that in the draft. You know what I mean? Because it was a really late one. It was a really late ban, and you don't see like no one's playing like Urgot and Scion mid anymore. That was kind of the meta a month
Yeah,
ago.
they're not flexes anymore.
No,
That's a good
no.
point to make. But
Yeah.
everyone says it. That he can go, he can do this. He can't, and he's not going to.
Hmm.
It's an obvious pick now.
Right. And Jizuke's not playing Urgot or or you're not
No,
putting Jizuke on Urgot or Scion. You're
no,
putting
you're not.
Jizuke on something he can go nuts with, and Zoe's really good right now. She's been a big meta pick across most of the regions
Hmm.
for a little while because she's very good into this kind of mid-mage meta right now. So uh, they just didn't get to go there. Like we were saying, Self-Made just had that game on lockdown, and Crown Shot got to play something finally and kind of break out. He's been someone, a lot of people, there was a lot of hype around him, but he's been kind of stuck on the Lucian and Ezreals because you need them in your comps because that's what was meta at the time. But
Hmm.
this guy's, seeing him on Crit 80 carry was like a whole different thing. It was like, wow, this guy's kind of popping off right now. And there was a big difference in this game um, in the 80 carry position because I think that Vitality is very volatile, like we've talked about. Mowgli
Hmm.
sometimes what Mowgli's doing is just so oppressive, it's ridiculous. He's invading all the time, taking buffs. He's all over the place. He pops out from crazy angles. That's just the type of jungler he is. Jizuke's no different. Jizuke's just as likely to come out of lane 0 and 3 and then dominate the next team fight as he is to come out of lane 3 and 0 and get picked. And that's just how he is. He's a very aggressive player. He's super mechanically talented, and it's awesome. Vitality's super fun to watch. But Attila has been their weak link, and I don't think it's because of mechanical skill, but his positioning in this game especially was atrocious. Um, he got caught out multiple times, not once like on accident, like oh what are you
Hmm.
doing there? You know what I mean? This happened a couple times in bad positions to either start fights or just get flat picked out, and you can't do that as an 80 carry. And I think Vitality going forward, they're never going to change because they play through Jizuke's personality, really. It seems like, his personality is to get after it, get after people, and that's fine. That's kind of why they had that Worlds run and stuff. It seemed like, but they're gonna have to rein Attila in. Jack Troll is an outstanding support, and I think he's gonna have to rein Attila in a little bit, because you can't be getting caught out like that. And this isn't the only time it's happened with Attila, and I worry about Vitality this season because of stuff like that. Because they are so volatile. If one person is doing something like that, with Mowgli invading also and doing that, it could really hurt them in the long run against average teams and definitely against better teams.
Yeah, the chaotic style of play it's fun to watch, but it's really tricky come tournament,
Right.
season for these guys. So I don't know. Vitality will always be a team that they can beat anybody they play, but whether they're going to or not is a whole nother question. So I don't know. When you get to a tournament and it's a best of 5 or a best of 3, I'm not that worried about that team if I were playing against them. Now in a one game, like they do, they're very dangerous because you don't know what's going to happen. But I think
no idea what's
most
going to
good
happen.
teams that play them in a best of 3 or a best of 5 feel like they're going to beat them because they're going to make more mistakes than not when they, given that many opportunities. But they are fun to watch, and their draft they have good drafts. I'll give them that. They're coached well. It seems like they're just wild. They like to have fun. They aren't going to win the split anyway, so it doesn't really. You're just trying to, finish as high as you can, and they're not going to beat G2. So, but I don't know. I would have expected them to beat SK, but SK just outplayed them. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah, and SK's had they've had a good start to the season, so it's not super surprising because Vitality can be insanely volatile. But yeah. So the next game we go into is Rogue and Shulk. So this was an interesting game.
Yeah.
Rogue, I thought their draft was great. I thought the Poppy pick was interesting. I don't know about Warrior Poppy, but that's Kikis. You're not going to get Kikis to change. I think that's one of the great things about him. Ever since the TF jungle into TSM, you know what I mean? Like, Kikis has always had these really crazy picks and like these really cool ideas, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But they're definitely playing around kind of what Kikis does, and we saw it today too with the Pantheon pick. But I thought it was a good pick into that team. It's a good pick into Lee, it's a good pick into Ezreal, it's a good pick into Gragas support. She can do a lot of stuff to disrupt a lot of their nonsense. They're just not as good as Shulk. It's as simple as that. Shulk just outplayed them. Kikis looked bad early, but I think a lot of people would look at it and go, what is Kikis doing early, giving up those kills? But, his mid and bot lane, one of them had priority and didn't even move. It was like they were playing a solo queue game. Senkux was just like, whatever, just go die in the jungle, So their team chemistry this season, they haven't looked good, obviously. They have a new top laner, a younger player, but their chemistry has just looked terrible. Like I don't know who's shot calling there. I'm assuming it's Kikis or Vander, but it just seems like if they say something, not everyone listens to what they're saying. Like, I'm just kind of like, nah, I don't really feel like doing that right now. So.
It was kind of a slow game, it finished 3-8, 8-3 in kills.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't know. Those are the games bore people a little bit with League, which is unfortunate. And Rogue, when you have a young top laner and it's a super top lane meta, you're gonna struggle, and that's what happens. Finn's just not a big name top laner, and other teams can comfortably let him have Urgot, and it doesn't change the game for you. Whereas some of the bigger name top laners over there, once they get a hold of an Urgot, you basically lost the game already if you don't ban him. So
Right.
it makes it easier on the other teams. Schalke got to ban the Alistair like I was talking about earlier, and go figure, it just causes chaos when he's not. When one team doesn't have Alistair, it's a domino effect. Now you ended up with a Poppy jungle and a Gragas support and it's just
Right.
chaos across the board
Hmm.
because he's such a comfort pick. But I don't know. I agree with you on the Poppy. I don't know about her in the jungle. I'd still like to see her supported more because she's an awesome support, and I think you might see her down there. I don't know. I'll take the Corky call for now as my good
Yeah.
prediction. I'm not going to go crazy with
Right.
Poppy supports, but that's where I would rather play her because she's still going to struggle against your Urgots, against your Jaces in a top lane. But as a support in this meta, I think she'd be pretty good down there.
I actually agree with that. We've talked about it,
Hmm.
off the show and stuff. Poppy does a lot of things that are really irritating in a bot lane. If you take her into, say, I wouldn't want to take her into a Lucian Braum just because it's Lucian Braum, but say a Lucian Alistair, right? You got a Lucian
Yep.
Alistair. You think something's coming, you feel like something's coming, and you see the jungler coming, but it's a little bit too late normally. We saw it multiple times today. Bot lanes were up too far. The jungler and the mid laner come running down there. That engage happens from Alistair. The flash knock up, Pulv, and then Poppy just negates all of that. You don't get to do that to her. Or her AD carry.
Right.
She just throws up W, and she just keeps running with her AD carry. And even if you still get them, she gives you a whole extra leeway. But one of the things I like about her the most is Lee Sin is super popular right now. And what Lee Sin is really good at is diving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got this bot lane. Lee Sin dives in, hits a Q, dives in, dashes back out. You don't dash back out against her or get in if she doesn't want you to. Maybe she lets you in and then just holds you in there. Now what are you going to do? So I actually,
Mm-hmm.
I actually 100% agree with you, and I think people are underthinking it down there. I don't. I like Gragas as support too. I'm glad Ignar picked it. He's got some. He's another one that has a lot of engage ability, but he has a giant displacement, which is just massive in those team fights if they're good
Mm-hmm.
with him. But I agree with you because Poppy is innately tanky. She does really well with support items. She doesn't need a lot of tankiness. She's got good speed running around. She's very safe when she's warding by herself, especially against something like a Lee Sin. The Lee Sin sees her and hits her with a Q. She just runs up, puts her ward down, and walks away. You can't engage onto her, so she doesn't care. And her ultimate is the ultimate disengage tool in the game. And I don't know. I 100% agree with you. And maybe some teams will pick it up, but it just doesn't seem like it. She's not getting banned. She's not getting picked. I don't hear about it, about anybody playing it down there. But in a coordinated team, she's phenomenal. She has that kind of Tom Kench thing where it's just kind of anti-fun. And she doesn't let you do what you want to do. You do what she wants to do. You fight where she wants you to fight. And God, I'm surprised she ever went out of the meta because there's so many Baron and Dragon dances now where she just goes, I don't want to do this right now. So 3, you get out of here. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it might be because she's never been a popular support pick, and these guys probably don't know how to play her. I mean, I'm a support main, and I don't even have the champion unlocked, on my account. So that's one thing. They probably don't have a lot of experience, but maybe, it'd probably be worth practicing. It would be worth getting to know how to play her as a support in these pro leagues, because I do think it's a good spot, and it would catch teams off guard. If you can ban out a Thresh and a Alistair, and they're going to go with the Braum, Poppy into that's just fine. It's a nice pick, and you don't have to worry about it getting banned out much. And you can flex it. She's one of the true flex picks that are left over because she can top jungle and support pretty easily.
Yep, and she can fight Scion. She has no problem going against Scion or Aatrox up top. So I don't know. I don't think she does real well into Urgot, but again, I might not know that matchup real well. But we've talked about it before. I was a big fan of Poppy Jungle for a while there, and I still am a fan of it. I liked Kikis's pick. I was pretty excited to watch it. I mean, he went, like I said, he went Warrior, which seemed kind of odd in the situation. But I mean, they're not winning that game anyways,
very
so
odd.
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
That was pretty much just a free game
Yep.
for them. So, and then the last game of the day, we got G2 and Misfits. This was the match of the day, and this was also a match we had talked about a little bit. This was a really, really important match for Misfits, and not so much that I thought they were going to win this game, but I felt like if they had a good performance, it would give them a little bit of confidence. Put the rest of the league on notice a little bit about like, hey, Misfits is back. They're looking pretty good. G2 still G2. You're not beating them individually in most of these lanes. And they just got stomped.
Yes, they did.
I mean, it was ugly. Alistair. So, you can't... okay. It's 9.3. You have to know that Yasuo is a thing for caps, right? But you also have to know and perks, right?
For perks,
so
yes.
you ban Silas. Here, Wonder, take Silas. Anybody wants Silas, you can have him. What's his win rate? 20% over all the leagues right now? I mean, he's terrible in pro play right now. People are not good enough on him to make him effective yet. Ban Cass, good. Ban Cass. And Jace, good ban too. All right? But Yasuo with these new crit items is a joke. Like, I mean, he's out of control. And you got to know caps and perks are trying to style on people right now because they're destroying everyone they play against. It almost doesn't matter what they pick. And you're not going to ban Yankos out right now. He's the best jungler in Europe, if not the best jungler in the West right now. Probably the best jungler in the West. He's probably the best jungler in the West. But, I mean, this game was ugly. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, except it was an ugly game, and Yankos just did whatever he wanted. It looked like a solo queue stomp. I mean, Yankos was all over the place. He's 7-0, and then perks, and then the Yasuo Alistair bot lane. And I don't know. It's hard to harp on this too much because G2 is just so much better than everyone else. But this was a really, really bad game for Misfits, and it felt like this bled into today, and today was really bad also. But man, did that Alistair Yasuo bot lane look crazy. Perks was just popping off. I mean, he was styling down there the whole entire game.
Yeah, we just cannot get Han Sama and Gorilla on the same page on this team.
Right.
They just
Something
are not
looks wrong
playing
there.
well together, which is unfortunate. But I mean, you got to be okay with Callista Thresh. I mean, that's a good duo. I know she's not in an amazing spot right now, but she's pretty safe against most of your bot lanes. And yeah, if you're not going to ban Yasuo, you deserve to lose anyway. But even that, I mean, if I see Yasuo Alistair on the other side, and I'm playing on the side of Callista Thresh, I feel okay about that. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
with
feel
her
awful.
ult and her jumping around and Thresh's flay and all, I mean, it's pretty safe. Like, you shouldn't feed, and they fed. Han Sama died 5 times. And he's supposed to be the best AD carry in the league, and he's just getting worked over, and they picked the Rise into caps, which you can't. I mean, I don't know why you do that, but whatever.
A scaling jungler in Karthus into Yankos, which is he's never going to let you scale up. I mean,
they picked Aftershock Rise too. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, we just can't. I don't understand. We don't have to get stupid crazy. You can try some new things, but let's not get carried away here. It just, and Maxlor gets the Karthus jungle, and then they don't win on it. So I guess Karthus jungle is beatable. It was looking unbeatable there for a while. And
well, it's beatable on teams that aren't going to get any pressure.
No
Yankos
kills.
picked Elise on purpose. He was like, okay, fine. You want to do that? You're not going to get to scale up. I'm just going to run you down, like, I mean, it just, they picked a comp around Yasuo. Perks in the post-game interview said that Caps wanted the Yasuo. You know what I mean? But Perks was like, nah, I'm taking it, like, because, I mean, I think it's funny because, it's, they seem to be having so much fun, which they should be because they're just, I mean, they look like the best team in the world right now,
Yeah.
and obviously I don't think they're better than Griffin. But God, I would love to watch them play Griffin. Man, that'd be a fun game to watch. There's so much talent there, Chovy and all that stuff. But I don't think they can beat Griffin. But who knows? I mean, this is Perks was talking about at the end of the thing. Like he just, they're laughing, having a good time. They're joking around about picks, but you watch them in the game, right? There's a difference between joking around, kind of not caring, kind of like this is so easy, and joking around, we're so much better than you are, but we're like G2 still keeps it locked in, right? Like when they're
Hmm.
stomping somebody, they're also not dying, like trying to dive towers stupidly or doing anything dumb. Like they're putting the pressure on you, they're dominating you, having a good time, but they're also reining it in. There's a lot of control on that team, and I think there's a big thing to that with how much veteran status they have on that team. They have some guys who've put in quite a few games. Obviously Yankos and Perks would lead that cast. Yankos has been around seems like forever, but that team's like a perfect setup of locker room mentality. They're good friends off the field, and we've talked about before. You don't have to be good friends to be a good team, but it helps.
Hmm.
Winning makes everybody friends. We've talked about that before too, but
Yeah.
in those type of environments, in a sports environment, very similar to professional sports, when guys get along that well and they can transition that to stage where they're just kind of like playing for each other too, like, yeah, there's some joking around. There's obviously some competitiveness about who gets the MVPs and stuff. It really shows in the games. They're not just better than everyone they're playing. Their chemistry's better. Their mechanical skill is better. Their shot calling's better. Their feel of the game is better. And Yankos is just, I mean, he's been godlike this whole entire season.
Yeah. You're not. There's no one's gonna catch them for first place.
No.
They're just too good. They got all stars at all 5 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Every single room they have somebody that's just unreal at the game. And yeah, it'll take till major tournament to see them struggle. I think
Yeah.
they have an answer for everybody right now. You can't ban out Perk from what he's comfortable on. The teams that were gonna try and do that wasted their chances. It's week 5. He's settled in. You should have
Mm-hmm.
beat him in weeks 1, 2, and 3, but it's too late now. So yeah, they'll just keep running it down and having fun while they do it. And there's no communication gap with that team. You notice they all speak the same language.
Yep.
They all know each other. They all listen to what they're trying to do is very organized. And yeah, they're the total package. They're the best team by far. That's not news.
I agree. And that game was a stomp. And I'm worried about Misfits, to be honest with you. And we'll get into it a little bit in their second game, too. But Han Sama is the key to that team, and that has not been going well. So to start the day off today, we had a big game. This was a big game for Fnatic. This is what you said last week. You said, you brought it up. Fnatic is going to have to go 2-0. Like, they need to go 2-0. They looked really good yesterday. And then today they went into SK, and it did not look very good. It looked fine early. I take that back. It wasn't a mess right away. You know what I mean? But SK was on a scaling comp. Crown shot on the Ezreal. You give up the Ezreal, Syndra, whatever. You can't stop that stuff. Self-made's on Karthus. I mean, if I'm Fnatic, I'm okay with that. Self-made has been a proactive jungler on Lee Sin, stuff like that. He's been getting after people. So I'm okay with that. I wouldn't have been that scared of it. And then you have the normal Sion Urgot match up top. And Bwipo was doing fine in that, and then the mistakes started coming in, right? Bwipo gets caught out bot. And I want to talk about this one because the draft, when I was watching the game live, the draft was very surprising to me, right? You ban out Sivir, so you're SK. They won yesterday. It's 9.3. You got to be worried about Reckless. So you ban out Sivir. Good ban, right? But Rakan and then Karma. Like, I feel like those are just two wasted bans unless you were trying to bait them into playing something. And they might have been in this situation. They might have been like, hey, let's ban Sivir and see if he goes after the Tristana. Or let's see if they go after the, Lee Sin again. And we're going to take the scaling jungler into this. I don't think they could have known that Nemesis was going to pick Kassadin mid. But Syndra's really good into that, pretty much that whole entire team. So Hylissang has not been very good this season. So banning Rakan and Karma, because Karma can only go support now. After they're playing on the fixed Frostfang. So, I mean, I guess I'm kind of scared of Rakan. Rakan in the right hands is still really good, but
Yeah.
it was a weird one. But I felt like Fnatic had a plan here, and SK baited him kind of into it. Like, we know you're going to pick Tristana. We know you're going to pick one of these crit 80 carries. We're going to counter it with the Ezreal. And then, I mean, they couldn't have seen the Kassadin coming, but as soon as he picked Kassadin, they had to have been like, yes, this is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But this was one of those games you look at Fnatic and go, I don't know where they go from here. I really don't. Like, just seems like there's a huge disconnect in what's going on with that team. They played through the bot. I don't know. They played through the bot. They ganked. And they TP'd with the gank, and they got a double kill down there. You're going, okay. This is Fnatic. They're playing through Reckless again. And then, I mean, you're looking at SK going, what are you guys doing up so far? You had no vision at this time. And then Bwipo gets baited bot while his team's running there. So his team's halfway down the lane bot. Bwipo goes forward for some reason and dies. And that's when the game flipped around. That's when the game changed. That's when it wasn't even anymore. And it's just bad decision making. And then Nemesis goes, there's a team fight that happens. Nemesis did 0 damage in the team fight.
Yeah, that's not
0.
That's not good enough.
I don't know where they go from here. I think their academy mid laner is Magifelix. He's a solo queue superstar. I might be wrong about that. I should probably look that up. But I think their academy, or their new academy team, or what's going on there is Magifelix, or maybe he's just a streamer for them. But I know he's a rookie, but they got to do something about Nemesis, because this can't keep going. You can't do 6,000 damage as Kassadin.
No, not at all. And what a strange game, because we were talking last time about Nemesis being weak, and so teams know they can just focus down Reckless, and that's how they win. Well, he only died once. He was 3-1-4.
Yeah, Reckless played fine.
So he had an okay game. Nemesis goes 1-1. Brox goes 2-2, but Bwipo somehow dies 5 times.
Yeah.
How do you go 1-5 on that broken champ? Anybody on their team that's low, you just get to execute. I mean, they can be, seems like, in their own damn fountain, and he can harpoon him in and get a free kill.
Well, we saw the one this weekend where he ulted a Sion. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Bwipo who did it. Maybe it wasn't. I don't remember who it was. Anyway, someone ulted a Sion. Sion ulted away. He's in the tier 2 bush, and Urgot pulled him back in after the ult was over. And you're going, Jiminy Christmas, guys. Like, no, I agree with you, but everything was going fine.
I just don't.
Then you get caught out bot, pressing up the lane to do what? I don't know what the point of that was. Like, what are you getting from Werlib there? Like, if say you chunk Werlib out and he has to leave, your team's coming, right? What happens? How does that help you? Nothing. It doesn't. If he waits 5 seconds, his team there, and then he baits Werlib in, they kill him. But he didn't, and he went in and he died. And that's when the game started to get out of hand. And then it got more and more out of hand, and then they couldn't team fight SK. There was no way to team fight them. And then Fnatic just looked disjointed again, because it honestly, watching the game, it looked like a 4v5. Nemesis would be on the side of fights doing nothing. He would just be standing there like, he can't really go in, he can't really do this. Well, you don't have a choice, dude. Like, you got to pick someone on that team and try and one-shot him as Kassadin. So, I don't.
Yeah, they're in trouble. I mean that's
They're
a
in big
game they
trouble.
win, and if they're gonna stick with him, they got to really reevaluate his champ select and who they're gonna put him on because
I agree.
it's okay to play passively as a mid laner, but you have to be on a champion where you can do that. I mean, put him on a Oriana or put him on a I don't even know. I can't even come up with something. That's how just in disbelief I am of just how inconsequential he is in games. It's just crazy. So he needs a reevaluation of what to pick, I think, because I'm sure he's talented,
He
fine
is
mid laner, but
super
he's just
talented.
yeah, he just that's he did not play the Kassadin well. We've seen him multiple games now just not play the champion that he's playing
Timid.
well.
Yeah,
He's a
he
good
just
enough
looks
player,
timid.
but just not playing the pick right.
Yeah.
So they just need to change that up. I mean, if you're gonna go through Reckless anyway, just
Right.
pick a mid laner that helps
Put him on
Reckless. That's
Galio.
why I just don't understand the Galio and Oriana or anybody that can just you know just to help Reckless
Zillion.
stay alive.
Put him on Zillion.
Absolutely, none of those things were banned in that game, so
Hmm.
I just don't understand that at all. And, yeah, it's taken them too long to figure this out because they're in a hell of a hole.
Yeah, and the thing I didn't get either is they banned the Lysandra out, and the game the day before was the first time Nemesis looked comfortable and had a decent game.
Hmm.
Granted, they were stomping them, but still, it was like, okay, we get to see Nemesis play a little bit. Get out there and do some
Hmm.
things. But again, it was one of those things where it's like, you look, you can't do 6,000 damage as Kassadin. Period.
No, no, that's not gonna work.
Period. It was only a 4K gold lead. This wasn't like a complete stomp. SK was in control in the later stages of the game, obviously, but there was definitely some team fights where there was some opportunity to get in and do something, anything. Like I said, one of the team fights kind of breaks out. It was a little bit scattered, so there was kind of some stuff going on over here, and there was some stuff going on over here, and people were already dying. But at this point, I mean, he was just kind of on the outside, like, oh, I'm going to go in, I'm not going to go in, I'm going to go in,
Hmm.
I'm not going to go in. Like, he looks like he just can't make a decision, and he doesn't know what he wants to do. And that, one, not surprised. He's a young rookie, okay? Not
Hmm.
surprised. He has to replace Caps, so all the pressure in the world's on him. And then you add on to the fact that he's playing for Fnatic. He's not playing for, Rogue or someone like that as a rookie. He's replacing the best mid laner probably in the EU, probably in the West, on the most popular team in the West besides probably TSM or G2, right? There's a ton of
Right.
pressure on the kid. He's really worried about making a mistake. He dives in that back line, doesn't get the kill. Everyone's like, oh, what an idiot. Doesn't even know
Hmm.
Kassadin's damage, all that stuff. I understand that, I get it, but you can't not do anything. Like, you got to do something because, like you're talking about, if you put him on Kassadin again, for instance, like, as a coach, as a staff, you need to tell him, go do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, dude. Let him learn his limits. You know what I mean? Let him learn. You're losing anyways, right? Spring split's over for you. Spring split's gone
Hmm.
at this point. So tell Nemesis every game you go into from now on, explain to him that there's no pressure on him anymore. Fnatic's a good enough organization to win out in summer split and make worlds. I no doubt about that, right? They have the people, they have the fan base. I mean, the unbelievable fan base. They have the money, they have the talent on the team to do this stuff. Tell him to go out there and just learn how to play the game if this is who you're going to stick with, or you need to change him out. One of the
Hmm.
two, because if you are going to change him out, you need to change him out now so the person who's coming in can get some time with the team before the summer split starts so you're not playing catch up at the beginning of the summer split. Because right now, you either need to tell Nemesis that no matter what you do, buddy, you're starting next week. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what anybody says. Don't worry about what anybody thinks. This is what we think. We're all in on you. You know, just start playing the game. If you make mistakes, you make mistakes. Because at this point, you're not even making mistakes. You're just not doing anything. You
Just
know?
doing nothing.
Yeah, you can't do
Yep.
6,000 damage in a game,
No.
in a professional game. Unless if they got hard stomped, it'd be a whole different story. Whatever.
Yep.
And he never made it to level 16, but he did. He made it to level 17, and he just wasn't around. Like, I didn't even notice him in the game, and it's really hard to say because there's a lot of hype around him. I want to see this kid get a chance to feel comfortable on stage and get to play his thing. And
Yep.
we've talked about it before. They have a great fan base. They have a very loyal fan base too. Maybe the organization can go talk to him and explain to him too, that those fans are still behind him. You know what I mean? It's okay. Have some confidence, buddy. Go out there and just be you. They're not going to try and no. We know you're not Caps. I get it. I'm not part of the Fnatic fan base, but I know you're not Caps. I don't expect you to be Caps. I just want to see the kid play. I want to see him get a chance to do something, but he just looks so scared right now to make a mistake, like someone's sitting behind him going, you make one mistake, you're never playing again. And that's clearly not the case. He just, it's really sad, but I think that's, who knows, there are a lot of games left, but that seemed like the nail in the coffin for Fnatic right there for this split at least. They need to make some changes. 9.3 is a great meta for them. Reckless looked good again today. Granted, he was on Tristana, but he played fine. But Hylissang, Bwipo, they're not holding up their end of the bargain at all. And I don't know what changes you could possibly make there, but Young Buck and that coaching staff has got to do something, or they need to find other people who can, because Fnatic is just out of it. And I know we talk about it a lot, but they're such a popular team. They're such a big part of League of Legends as a game and as an esport. We talked about it last week. You want them to be good because they're good for the game, and it's really tough to watch a World's Finals team struggle this bad and look this disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
You see shades of it, but as of right now, they just need to focus on maybe next split. But someone in that organization needs to be a fucking adult and sit Nemesis down and start giving him some confidence and give him some leeway or something, because he just looks like a kid who just doesn't feel comfortable. And I don't know, it's frustrating. We've talked about it before from my time in professional sports. This isn't the first time I've seen something like this. You know what I mean? And it's really hard to watch because it's a kid you can tell, has some talent. He was, putting him in those interviews early in the season, kind of putting him on the spot. You're not helping him by almost forcing him to make predictions about them winning everything, right? Because when you watch that interview where he said that, that's what that is, right? Now, a professional sports organization doesn't put a young superstar that they want to be a superstar in a situation like that. You don't allow them to add pressure to themselves. You're trying to take that pressure off of them, because it's the hardest adjustment there is, going from being an amateur to a pro. And it just seems like no one is helping him there. And I don't know if Reckless or Broxa can help him in that situation, or if it needs to come from someone up in the organization. But somebody in that place, for the love of God, sit that kid down and explain to him that he's allowed to play the game. Because, like I said, it's not the first time I've ever seen it, and it's always sad to see it, because I feel really bad for him, because he just looks, he's not that indecisive. He wouldn't be here if he was, and that game was a perfect example of it. They need to take that game, and someone needs to help that kid, because it's just, like I said, it's hard to watch. I'll just leave it at that, and I hope someone there helps him. I hope someone acts like a fucking adult and starts helping that kid. But before I get any angrier, let's move on to the Splice game, Splice XL. Splice been having a pretty good split, so no surprise in this game. The weird stat page again here, but no surprise in this game. We talked about this game a little bit earlier, because I was pretty, I love seeing Draven in the games, different things, and, some Zach. I like, I think this draft was fine for both sides. I think both sides knew what they were trying to do here. I just want to skip ahead real quick, because I don't think there was any point where I thought Splice might lose this game. But it was close for a while, maybe 15, 16, 20 minutes. It was kind of close, but you got first blood onto Draven. You got him a cash in. He comes back. Kabi's not a good Draven, so let's get that out there right now. He's fine at him, whatever, but he's not like a masterful Draven. He went Bloodthirster first, which is pretty bad buy, especially in a professional game where you have protection. You don't need to 1v1 anybody or anything. There's no real situation like going Bloodthirster first. The jungler Nocturne doesn't have GA yet. Jarvan doesn't have GA yet. So you don't really need to fight them off you. But even if they do dive you, you have a Zac, Aatrox, Orianna, and a Braum to protect you. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. You lose a lot of damage not going IE first with just a Vamp Scepter in that situation. But that's not the point. The point is there's a team fight around Baron. It happens, blah, blah, blah. Kasing gets low, right? So Kasing's low. He's about to die. Kabi's standing right next to him on Draven. He has to have at least 250 stacks at this point. He's standing right next to him. He's one auto away from death. He goes into stasis. And Xerxes jumps from the pit on Zac and takes the kill. Right. Now, if I'm Kabi, I'm losing my mind. Right there. But that is something I want to talk about because, again, I don't think Splice was going to lose this game. So in the end, it didn't matter. But it could have mattered for the next team fight because if Kabi gets that kill, he backs and comes back with an IE and a Bloodthirster. Instead, the next team fight, which he died in when he had 300-something stacks, he did not have an IE, and he dies in the fight. But that was, probably because of his positioning, which was really poor because he's just standing back there throwing his ult, basically, trying to get kills. But he's dropped a lot of axes in a lot of fights. Like, it wasn't pretty. But you can't... That's something I want... It seems like ha ha ha, right?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a solo queue game. This is a professional game. If you're a coach, that's the first thing I bring up. Like, you do that again, the Academy jungler's playing. Like, I know you think that's funny and cute, but that's 1,700 gold onto our Draven or whatever. 1,100 gold onto our Draven. Like, you're crazy, right? Like, no one cares if you have gold, Zac. You're a Zac. Like, no one cares, Xerxes. And this isn't the first time we've seen this stuff happen. And it's not only to Draven. It happens all the time, it's funny, to chase the guy down. The support takes the kill from the AD carry. And then the next team fight, your AD carry's half an item below the other AD carry, and you're losing the team fight. These are really important things that mistakes you can't be making against better teams.
Yeah, it's not the level of professional play that you expect, and I don't know. It still comes from the fact that there's not a lot of competition pushing these guys. Mm-hmm. Xerxes can do that because the Academy jungler isn't as good as him, and they're not just going to find one and throw him in there. So, he can do whatever he wants, and he's not going to get benched. And you can see Nemesis, too. I mean, he's playing like he's nervous, but he obviously isn't getting benched because if he is capable of getting benched, they would have done it already because he's played pretty bad all year. There's just not, it's not the NBA, it's not the NFL, even though they want to think they are. There's not a plethora of players out there that they can go grab to threaten their starting five. They are in place. They're the ones that are going to start next week, regardless of what happens. And yeah, that was a dumb play, but it was an interesting draft because both teams kind of went with a give a little to get a little mentality. Mm-hmm. They gave up the Aatrox, but then in return, Splice gives up the Lucian. So we got to see Lucian for the first time, I think, all weekend. Was the first Lucian
I think it was.
Because he was perma banned even after all the rework 9-3. So he's
still an amazing AD carry. So
yeah, and him with Thresh is really good. But
dangerous.
They just I don't know. The special played good. That's something to talk about. 3-0 on the Zoe, really good champ right now. Humanoid struggled a little bit. 3-4 Ariana. She's usually safer, but depends what you're gonna play. I'm not a fan of Phase Rush Ori myself, but it just kind of depends on what their style was. They had so much protection for Kabi that was the point, I guess. But I don't know. It was kind of a cool draft to see some things like that go through, but I also not real impressed with how do you say that? Cadrill? Was that
Yeah,
the
K-Drill. Hmm.
Cadrill?
Yeah.
That's not a team Nocturne's going to succeed into.
No.
Zach, Aatrox,
Mm-mm.
Oriana. I mean, I don't know when he picked it either, so I wasn't paying attention there. I should have been, but
Third cycle. So
okay. Well,
I
either
mean,
way, I mean, they just yeah, I don't know. I like Nocturne. I think he's amazing, obviously, but I like to see Nocturne Jungle picked a little later when you know what's out there
right.
than three two champions with a revive, a mid laner with built-in shield that naturally builds Azonias, and then Braum.
Right.
So he's either killing the Draven or he's killing nobody.
Right. And you can't
And he
go. You
went
don't
one
need
and
to go
three.
all in on
So
the Draven.
yeah, yeah. There
Kavi's
you go.
not good at Draven, so you don't need to go all in on that Draven.
Yeah.
Like I said, Kavi wasn't really a factor in the team fights. They were winning, but I mean, you look at the damage dealt to champions. He did less damage than the Lucian.
Well,
You
and they
know.
tied. They finished out 11-11. So I mean, the game
Hmm.
was close. The difference was towers
Right.
and dragons. Somehow Excel stayed even in kills with the team and didn't manage to take a single damn dragon. 0 to 4 and 0 barons to 2, and 3 towers to 11. But
Right.
you were even in kills, and they ended up down 15,000 gold. I don't. That's so weird. They just must have got just
They're
stomped
just not a good
across
team.
yeah, I mean,
It's
they just
yeah.
like you said, they were never gonna win the game
Hmm.
apparently, but I don't know. They tried. I'll give them that.
Sure.
But
Well,
I don't know. It's weird because the J4 top I thought was kind of the oddest pick, and it was the most successful KDA wise. But I don't know if that was, Scion's there. He's available. He didn't get banned out,
hmm
so I don't know. That
yeah, it's a big difference. Nocturne Scion's a whole big thing. Nocturne ult, Scion ult, you can't see Scion.
Mhm.
Like, there's some danger
yeah, that's
there.
a lot scarier
Hmm.
than
Right.
J4. But I don't know.
They're just not that great of a team.
Yep.
They have a really really nice veteran there as their support, Kasing,
Hmm.
who is showing himself to be one of the more intelligent players out there. He's got a great personality. He's been on some really good teams too. They're just, I don't think it has to do with individual talent on that team.
Hmm.
They just, they look disjointed. They don't have a great chemistry, I don't think. They look like a team that, an organization has to put together because they're not in a position to get maybe a better team, right?
Yep.
We're going to get these
Yep. They could
guys.
use some help.
Sure. And it's franchises now, so it's a little bit different story. There's a build up. But yeah, Exile looked, and Expect has played well. Cadril hasn't had a terrible season, I wouldn't say. He looked bad. He looked a little bad on that pick today. Um,
But that's the pick too.
Right,
It's not the player.
right.
There was nothing he could have
Right,
done on that
right.
pick. I mean, he could have got ahead early because the Axer clear is so bad, but still, that's not going to help you that much. It's
no.
just an odd team comp and a weird
Mhm.
pick. I don't know. But again, we always get to look at this
2020.
hindsight 2020.
Mhm.
So maybe at the time it looked better than it was, but yeah, they know now. I mean, that you see now though, that's either at least the second, if not the third game where they've tried to pair up this Thresh J4. Pro teams love that little combo.
Yeah, because
don't
they think
they?
it's always going to work, right? They
Yeah,
think
and
it's
it's
always
just-
like Nocturne ults, J4 goes in, and you can't see him, right? So you
Mhm.
don't know where the flag and drag's coming through. You don't know who's getting ulted. Then Nocturne ults in. It's
Yeah.
a great idea into a team that doesn't have 4 characters to protect an 80 carry.
Yeah, with 11 stopwatches purchased throughout the game, I'm assuming.
Right. Right.
That just screws everyone. I don't know what take coaches so long to figure this out, but you
Mhm.
can't write out these, intricate game plans with all this. Oh, this is going to work into this and this and this when every person on the team at one point when you watch these games owns a stopwatch, or at least 4 of the 5.
Mhm.
Like that just ruins your plan. You have to bait it out essentially. I mean, it takes so long to kill people
Yep.
that you have to rethink a little bit of your big wombo combo. I mean, that's why no one's playing the Oriana, Oriana Rengar, Oriana Kha'Zix, Oriana, Sejuani stuff, isn't coming
Yeah.
through because it ain't going to do anything when they just pop their stopwatch.
The ball
You
delivery
just gotta
service.
it doesn't work anymore. Everyone's invulnerable for
Mhm.
half the game, so you got to plan ahead in the draft. I don't know if they're really getting that quite
No,
yet.
and it's something we talked about, last week also too. Is the average player in the pro leagues is so much better at the game than 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're so much better at the game because they're going through so many more situations. They've been through tons of metas now. They're getting a little bit older. They have a lot more stage time. There's a lot of times where, like, for instance, Orianna throws the ball at you, and she's going to ult you. So you get ulted, then you stopwatch, and maybe you survive, maybe you don't. Maybe they get on top of you because you got pulled back. Now, though, they stopwatch before they get Orianna balled. You know what I mean? Before they get pulled in by the ult. And then now it's like, well, we got to take his whole entire health bar. We got to move up a lot further to do it. They're so much better at the game in general. So I think you bringing up a great point is there's a lot of team comps and ideas and strategies that maybe even a year and a half ago would have been amazing, but not anymore. The players are just better. They have more coaches. They have more analysts. They have more data. They have more practice. They have better scrims. They have academy teams to deal with now. They get to practice against them. They're, especially in Europe. They're practicing against a wider range of players. The overall play is probably better in that league than in NA. It goes back to, I think, one of the huge advantages Korea and China have always had over the rest of the world is they play against each other. They scrim against each other. They practice against each other. They're playing constantly, and they're so far ahead of, the vision game and the meta game and these pocket picks, but they're not crazy pocket picks either. They have a very specific purpose. But just in general, everyone's getting better at the game. There's so much more data. These coaches can go look at like all this stuff from all these past things, and it's just the game is going to evolve like that, right? The players are obviously going to get better on average. And yeah, Liga stopwatch turns it into, giving really good players another out like that is going to slow the pace of the game down, and your wombo's not going to be great until you get rid of those stuffs. And the late game, like we're getting to late game, we're getting to 40-minute games, 35-minute games, but we're not really getting to late game because there's not a lot of kills. So it's a little bit different. We're not seeing these hyper bloody games. Like we're getting to late game, but guys still don't have 6 items. You know what I mean? So it's interesting because, like you said, you have a team. Aatrox has got 2-3 lives depending on who's with him. Zach's got 2 lives. Oriana's definitely got Zonya's. Draven at a late game point, he's not a great late game AD carry, but he's gonna have a bloodthirster. So if you don't kill him on the initial thing and he starts kiting you back, you're dead. Because he'll be at full health by the time you get to him again, and then you have a Braum to protect him. So, it's you can see what XL's trying to do. They need to win the early game, I guess, but they didn't really play like that. Like they didn't hit level 6 and just immediately use that at like a dive bot, Like hit level 6 on Nocturne, let's go. Jarvan TP, Nocturne ult, go bot, make sure Covey dies. That wasn't happening, and he already had first blood at that point. So, I think that's an interesting idea, and it's evolving because of 9.3, but it's not really changing as much as it seems. The characters are changing, but the idea is staying the same, right?
Yep.
Very safe.
Yep.
So, our next game we got is Shulk and Vitality. So that's what we talked about earlier. The many faces of Team Vitality, right? So we go into this game, another loss for Silas, as usual. Stop picking him. But, here we go. Mowgli, back on the same champion. He was in the other team's jungle the whole entire game, stealing red buffs. Jizuke's on Vlad, and apparently there was some back and forth this week between Upset and Attila. I guess. I'm going to say it right now. I don't care what happened in this game. Attila's not as good an AD carry as Upset. You can say whatever you want. I don't care if Upset had 2 pentakills, or Attila had 2 pentakills this game. He's not as good as an AD carry as Upset. But he's not a terrible AD carry. That's not what I mean. He's had some positioning issues, which we talked about before. In this game, he could have had him again, but it wouldn't have mattered because Abadagi died to a turret 3 times in the mid lane. So I don't know what was going on there. So it all started with a nice little gank, almost like a kind of counter gank, I guess, right away. Like Memento came mid, Abadagi and Memento killed Jizuke, and then they go to chase Mowgli down. Memento gets tower aggro, dies. Abadage just goes ham, decides to run under tower. He dies, which gives the kill to Jizuke. And from there on, Abadagi did it again, made a really nice play on him, and then dashed into tower and died, and then did it again. I don't know what was going on in this game with Schalke. I don't know. Abadage's, rookie, young kid, and
Yep.
he was kind of popping off on Yasuo with some plays, but he just wasn't paying attention to who he was playing against, I guess.
Well, that was as much of a solo queue Yasuo game I've ever seen in my life, except he wasn't playing against a solo queue team, so they didn't let him get 12 kills in the next 3 minutes and come back. He got down, and
Right.
he was useless, especially into a Vlad. I'm so glad GK picked Vlad because,
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
the item thing didn't affect him at all, but in League of Stopwatch, Vlad is just an absolute monster. The last thing he needs is another way to troll the other team, and now he gets it. He gets to stopwatch and pool, and then whatever else he wants, he gets all his health back, and
Yeah.
that's a really good pick. I've played that into Yasuo dozens of times. It's safe, it's fun, and you're about 85% chance that you're going to get a kill from the tower on the Yasuo while you're pooled, just, popping your mastery back to the, because he's coming under tower. That's
Yeah.
what Yasuo does.
Yeah, he's got
You
it.
just drop Ignite on him and pool and then laugh because you know it's going to happen at the pick screen. And it even happens to pros, as
I guess
you just
so.
saw there. They just can't help themselves when it comes to that champion. So, yeah, that's just
Right.
the way it goes.
Well, it's like people always say, you read about it all the time. Like, the Yasuo story comes up and people are like, "Oh, that's, Yasuo, 0 and 12, now he's 21 and 21 and 12 like but like you said, I think it's proof that this champion does something to people when they get into those games because he's so flashy. He's popping people up, he's ulting, he's dashing in and out of the fights, and then we saw the two different Yasuos this weekend, right? We saw Perks on Yasuo, who was actually popping off, and Abadage on Yasuo, who felt like he was popping off.
He was
'cause
popping off in his own mind.
Right, that's exactly what it was. He was popping off in his own mind. He was like, dude, I am killing this game. And next thing they know, their Nexus is getting blown up, and he's going, well, I don't know what happened. Well, you died to the tower 3 times, Abadage, I can tell you that much. This was, I don't know, it's the two faces of it, right?
Yep.
They looked amazing in this game. They look like one of those teams that can beat anybody, right? I mean, Attila was just positioning great. You gave him an 80 carry who can reposition, which is huge. But you gave Jack Troll Tom to protect him when he does miss position.
There you
so
go.
let's get that straight right now. Who,
Yeah.
like I said before, I think Jack Troll's a outstanding support. I think he's done a really, really good job this year with Attila when he's around him, and I think they do play well together. I think, I know there's just some banter, and Europe has really good banter, right?
Oh, yeah.
We talk about this all the time. They have really good shit talk with each other. A lot of it's very friendly. They're having a good time. They're just trying to motivate each other, motivate themselves, and it's refreshing to watch. There doesn't seem like there's a lot of malice in it. Attila did seem a little upset this week. He explained it on Reddit, what he meant. Just kind of. But again, even with that, I didn't see anything. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good. It's good for it. It adds some hype to the games, and it gets people interested. Who might not watch it all the time, and so there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, I thought it was good. And Vitality is that kind of team. They have that swagger. They could be 0 and 12 in the league, and they would come out just like this today. It doesn't matter. They don't care who they're playing. We saw that at Worlds. Jizuke could care less who he's laning against. I would pay money to watch this guy for a whole entire season in like Korea or something. I don't know. Maybe he'll get stomped, but it would be so because he wouldn't be scared of anybody. Like he couldn't care less. He'll lane against anybody in the world, and he's just a joy to watch out there because he has so much enthusiasm. It just seems like he's having so much fun. But, he also knows how to act, when they do lose a game. He takes it seriously. He doesn't want to lose, but, they get after it. And this was that vitality. If they can do this more often than not, they're going to be another team that's, got a good chance at making Worlds and doing some damage again.
Yeah, if they can keep Jack Troll on Tom Kench, they'll win, I would say, 80% of their games.
That's a good point.
Because that's a huge pick for them when you talk about Attila, who can pop off, but his positioning needs work. Well, you fix that with Tom Kench. He fixes everything. I don't know how he
get
gets
over
through
here.
that phase. I really don't understand how he ends up in these games. But if he's going to be there, that's the team. That's the most important champion pick for any team in LEC right now is Jack Troll on Tom Kench. Because when that happens, they can be deadly. And when it doesn't, they lack a lot of damage on their team. So they need to keep that in mind going forward. And, keep letting the other team have Silas. That works out just fine.
Yeah, it works out great.
Good strategy
keep
going
picking
forward.
Silas. Jiminy Christmas.
Jesus.
That champion is... I'm sure he's a solo queue god and all this nonsense and blah, 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 blah. But that champion is not winning in pro play right now, especially in the top lane. Maybe you want to take a mid or something or try something else out, but got to stop with that stuff. But, I mean, getting to that point, I think if Jack, like you said, if Jack Troll gets Tom, they'll be amazing. Because Attila, in the middle of a chaotic fight, that dude he'll pump some damage out. He is aggressive. He knows who he's going after. He's not that type of guy who's misclicking people and he's not weary around the edges of team fights, as we've seen, because that's become some of his mispositioning problems. But he's a young AD carry, who's really good at Draven too. But he's a guy who does position well in team once they start. It's like that guy, you always had that buddy, you're playing sports or whatever. Like if he's not embroiled in what's going on, he just kind of la-da-da-da-da, just kind of doing my thing. It's almost like he needs to be under pressure to be doing well, right? Because he just gets bored because that stuff's too easy or something like that, or whatever you want to call it. But yes, in team fights, Attila's he's very good. Very good in team fights. And Jack Troll, if he can rein him in just a little bit when they're not in team fights, they could be a devastating team. And I don't think this is Shulk's still really good. They still have a really good team. Abadage's, the rookiness is coming out. We saw it today. I still think Upset is one of the better 80 carries in the league. He's just a really solid 80 carry. They have a good team. Otawamne, Memento, Ignar. They have a good team. Ignar's made some great plays this year, this season, and one of the things I wrote down today is the draft was whatever. It was a good draft for both teams, except Silas. Why are you putting yourself in that situation? Do you not read the writing on the wall? Like, it's not working, especially into Urgot. It's really not working into Urgot. Oh, we can steal his ult. Yeah, but you're never going to get him low enough to use it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ignar made a really bad play bot, into Tom, and Tom just picked him up, spin him backwards, and he died. And, Shulk just inting mid after the nice plays. Literally inting. Looked like they were inting. But they're just giving kills to Jizuke, who you don't need to give Jizuke any more, you got a kill on him. You put him a little bit behind. There's no reason to even chase Mowgli a little bit. If you get some damage on him, great, but you don't have any ults left. Like, you're not going to kill him. You're not going to stun him before he gets back to tower. He's on Jarvan. So, just Abadagi spazzed out on Yasuo.
Yeah, he did.
He died 3 times.
Just had a bad moment. He woke up after that match and didn't realize where he was and what happened. He blacked out for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sorry, I blacked out after that.
Forgive him for that one.
He got that kill mid lane and just immediately blacked out, and that was the end of it.
He looked like a Vayne main.
Ignites.
What happened?
Yeah, Vayne spotting. I do want to talk about something interesting that happened at the end of this game. They had an interview with Jack Troll, which I was really interested to see, and it was a great interview because it was nice to hear him talking about their inconsistency. Like, they know that it's one of their issues, right? They're inconsistent in general as players, right? But not
Yeah.
inconsistent like in a bad way. They're just kind of inconsistent in they're always trying to pop off, it seems like. They're always trying to one up each other. Jizuke is just, he's in his own little world sometimes, running into other jungles. I mean, we've seen it so many times, so many outplays by him. But we've also seen the situations where he dies immediately, and then you don't think of it because nothing really happened. It was just him getting caught out, right?
Yeah.
He said their scrims were pretty bad a little while ago. Like they could see it in the scrims, the inconsistency, the kind of cohesion wasn't there. But they're figuring it out. But I don't think that I liked the interview because it was nice to hear from Jack Troll. Like I said, I think he's one of the better supports in the West, really. But their whole identity is built through a very volatile player in Jizuke, right? They're always going to play through Jizuke, whether they want to or not. I mean, you could put him on anything mid, and he's going to play it like it's an assassin. Like, he's going to be like, I can 1v1 them. Like, I can 1v2 them. And that's just how he plays. And he's so mechanically good, I think that's why there's no fear in him. And I think that's okay, right? I don't think they should try to change that.
Better than playing like Nemesis, right?
Right. I think it's okay, though, that their team plays like that. I don't think they should try and change that identity, in a sense, because it keeps them... Well, it's hard to draft against them. It's hard to plan against them, right? You have no idea what's coming out of that team.
Very hard to draft against them.
So, I think they're a team that might maybe should be talked about more in that sense. That they had a really good showing at Worlds. They went a lot further than anybody expected, but it was because of that. Like, what do you do to prepare for these guys, right? What do you do to prepare for Jizuke? I mean. He almost brings that, like, he's not Faker, so let's not misconstrue these words I'm about to say. But it's almost like that Faker level of thing. What do you ban against him? Okay, I've seen him pop off on this. I see him pop off on that, so let's ban that. Like, I ban LeBlanc against him every game, period, right?
Yeah.
But then he pops out Vlad on you, and, like, now what do you do? So, I think that's interesting. And what do you think about, like... I don't think they should try and change that because they were talking about trying to rein in that inconsistency. And I understand the word inconsistency, but I think that also is one of their biggest strengths.
Yeah, you have to just find a way to rein it in where you can play a little wild and a little crazy, but know you're going to do it and don't let it like consume the team. And that's what they do when they lose. They just get a little too over the top with the crazy plays and trying to be super off meta. Like they don't have to do that to win, but they can do that. And like you say, they're a tricky team because you can't ban against them really. I mean, what do you? They can play so much stuff, so you have to target ban. Oddly enough, you have to almost target ban Mowgli and Jack Troll and just deal with everyone else because you're never going to target ban Shizuki. You ban the LeBlanc and that's what they did. I mean, that's what Schalke tried to do. They banned the Draven. They banned the Olaf.
You do have to ban that Draven from Attila.
Yeah.
I agree with that right now, especially in this meta.
They did okay. They did okay with their bans going for it, and it still didn't work. But, I mean, the game would have been a lot different if he's not inting mid with Yasuo either. So,
true.
I don't know. I think it doesn't really matter what Vitality says. They're going to keep playing that way, and it's going to work sometimes, and it's not. I mean, they're the ultimate 500 team. They're gonna for every game that they stop somebody or beat somebody that maybe they're not supposed to, then they might lose to a rogue or something. You just don't know.
They're super fun to watch.
Yeah, they are fun to watch, and that's gonna make them more and more popular.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They are a joy to watch, and hopefully it doesn't change too much. But like you just said, they can't change that. It's in their DNA. It's who they are.
That's who they are.
Yeah. The day Jizuke is not their mid laner, they might have a chance of changing a little bit, but I don't think they should change, and I don't want them to change, so I want them to keep at it. Moving on to one of the sadder parts of the day for anybody who's a Misfits fan or a Han Sama fan like I am, Misfits Rogue. This was ugly. This was I don't know what else to say about this except that, hey, good for Rogue, right? Got
Yeah,
off the
yeah.
board. Got off the
Congratulations,
board.
Rogue. Good
Round
job.
of applause. They played really well in this game. Great Pantheon pick, Kickus. Another pick
Oh
that was
yeah.
like, okay, all right, I like it. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if Rogue looked particularly great in this game, as Misfits looked awful, and it was nice to see Finn get some kills. Right, he went 4-1 on Urgot. It was nice to see
Yeah.
him get going a little bit. I thought that was cool. He's a new player, young kid. Kickus kind of went up there and got him going a little bit.
Hmm.
I have to stick on the Misfits thing here, in the sense that all power to Kickus. The Pantheon looked great in this game.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
dove in between towers is great. We have to go to Misfits. One of the things that we've talked about before is maybe it's just me, maybe it's not just me, but in my mind, I feel like they have the best AD carry in Europe, right? I mean, Perks is
Okay.
obviously doing things that it's hard to argue with right now,
Hmm.
but he's also on a much better team.
Yeah.
But we've all seen Han Sama do some things like this. Kid is amazing, right? Uh, but we heard from Gorilla that there's a champ pool problem, because he is very Draven Lucian centric, I guess, from
Hmm.
what they're saying. But this kid, we've seen the talent out of him. He looks lost, and it's something you keep talking about. How can this look like this with Gorilla down there?
Yeah.
When
I.
when Hansam was lost, they looked so lost. Max Lord he was a mess today. Soaz, I don't even know what Soaz is doing. Fabibin's the only person on the team who has been consistent, right? And
Hmm.
Febby, that's what you expect from him, right? He's a very consistent mid laner, and he has been for pretty much his whole entire career. He'll pop off sometimes, but he's never losing you the games, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't even know where to go with this. I mean, I have some thoughts on Han Sama, but this is obviously the key to this conversation, because they're trying to play through him, that's not working. They're not trying to play through him, that's not working. He just looks lost right now.
Yeah. Well, first thing you need to talk about is what are you doing with the Silas ban? Is your first ban?
Right.
What has Finn ever done on Silas that terrifies
He's
you to
only
the
played
point that
Urgot.
Soaz can't play against him? It's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. It's a failure planning, coaching, and game plan in general. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot waste a ban like that. You let
Right.
Ezreal through, crying out loud, just to get rid of a Silas that Finn. I don't know. That's dumb. That's just stupid. And
Right.
he goes 4-1 on Urgot anyway. So good job. I mean, like he was gonna
They
do
weren't going to
better
pick
on
Silas,
Silas.
but they weren't going
You
to
know.
pick Silas, like you just
Yeah.
said. And
Yeah.
they weren't going to
So
pick Olaf, so you didn't need to ban him either.
there's no point in doing that. I mean, you gotta do better. They just gotta do better. Keep, you know, target ban the other team's 80 carries so that Hans can get going. Or I like Shen as a champion. I think he's cool. Rilla's obviously an amazing player and has a great track record, but that didn't work. I mean, they got
That was
just
awful.
steamrolled down there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just ugly. And he's a good enough player, but I
Yeah.
mean, if he's not on this broke ass iteration of Israel we have right now with this klepto teleport double tier stacking crap, I mean, you got to get rid of that. Get something else out there. I mean, there's just such stupid bans there that shouldn't have been allowed to happen. So I don't. That's where they lost it for me. Just wasted an entire ban on something that was never gonna
Mm-hmm.
hurt you. And your Febby, your mid laner goes 4-0 on Rise like that. You should have won that game. I mean, he's a 4-0 Rise, that late scaling champ like that. He should be able to just destroy the team, and they have a Pantheon that falls off late. I mean, it's they can't even win games that are being handed to them at this point.
Right.
So they have a lot of a lot of soul searching to do, and they just got to rethink their entire plan for what their team wants to do. And if it's a champ pool thing, well, that's I know how to fix that. Practice. That's
Right.
the only thing. You just have to get better on other champs, or find a couple pocket AD carries you can play with, some maybe off the wall supports that good with those champs, so other teams can't really target ban it. Something you got to do something, because this is unacceptable to lose. But good, good job for Rogue.
Yeah, I'm
Rookie
happy for
mid,
Rogue. Got
that's
off the
nice.
board. They're not going to go defeated, and
Yep.
that's good. You never want to see a team. We don't need any Detroit Lion references around
No,
here. So,
no, we don't.
and
It's not fun.
I, you brought up a really good point. That it all starts with these draft phases, right? We
Hmm.
harp on them a lot because they're very obvious. Because in the sense that they have nothing to do with skill. All right, they have nothing to
Yeah.
do with talent. They have nothing to do with skill. They all have to do with preparation and planning. And this is where a lot of teams are failing miserably in their organizational setup or whatever they're doing there. I don't know if they need more analysts, if they need to pay more attention to this stuff and take it more seriously, because this was an awful. The draft was fine. Like the drafting of the champions was fine. But the banning was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you said, Silas. Okay, go ahead, play Silas, Finn. He's not going to play Silas. All right, he's only played Urgot. They're going to put him on Urgot or Scion. He's a rookie top laner on an 0-9 team at the time. Okay,
Hmm.
so they're not going to pick Silas. Period. Cassiopeia, fine, ban Cassiopeia. But
Yeah.
it's not like Senkux has some super history on Cassiopeia, and if Hiku wants to play Cassiopeia, go right ahead. Olaf,
She got nerfed.
Kikis isn't picking Olaf. They're 0-9. Kikis is in Kikis mode right now. I'm surprised he hasn't picked TF Jungle yet. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, Kikis is in Kikis mode right now. This is what this guy does. He is on his own program, his own page, and what do they have to lose? Nothing. They have nothing to lose. They're going to pick crazy things and try and surprise you, and they did today. The second ban phase, LeBlanc, fine. I guess it's a power pick for anybody. He's a professional mid laner, sure. Yasuo, who plays Yasuo on that team? Yasuo's super powerful, so maybe that's why you want to ban him. Sure. Okay, fine. Why not? I would love to see a team like you just said it, right? You need to get some confidence on Han Sama. You need to play a game through him and get a win and get him popping off, right? So ban Ezreal right away. Just ban Ezreal and what's her name? God,
Kaisa.
Just ban Ezreal and Kaisa right away, and then see what they do. Are they going to pick Sivir? Are they going to pick Jinx? Are they going to pick one of those things? That's fine. Maybe ban Sivir third. You're not going into some superstar team here where you're really worried about what they're playing at this point. All right? I trust Febby against anything Senkux can bring to the table. I'm okay with that, right? Kikis and Maxlor is a different situation, right? I don't think Maxlor is as good as Kikis. I don't think a ton of people would argue that. Maxlor has his moments and stuff like that, but Kikis is a pretty good jungler, and he's been doing it for a while. I trust Soaz playing literally anything in defense. All right? And then you go to this bot lane. I just, like you said, put them on something maybe that just force ban Hiku out. If you win the bot lane, you just win the game by default. What's Pantheon going to do if your bot laners, if your AD carries 3-0? He can't ult onto him. You know what I mean?
No.
He can't do any of that stuff. So, yeah. Misfits has got to make some. I think theirs are a lot of internal decisions, right?
Yeah.
They have the talent. They have no excuse for that stuff. They have 5 good players who are very. You'd put them in the top ranks at their position in Europe for sure. Every single one of them, I think. And so there's no excuse there. This comes down to a drafting, maybe scrimming issue. Maybe there is a disconnect between Han Sama and Gorilla, but you're a professional team. You have all week. You have weeks to fix these things. So if you're not working on them, then that's on you. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe have Febby talk to him. He's been around the block a little bit. He's got a lot of experience. He's a very level-headed and calm player, very smart player. Maybe let him get in there. You have Soaz too. You have 2 super veterans on that team.
Yeah.
Maybe give Soaz a little more responsibility, maybe with Han Sama. and bringing him along a little bit. You know, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know how their infrastructure is, but maybe you tell SOAS like, hey, you know, I want you to, you know, stick maybe duo a little bit with Han Sama. You know what I mean? Hang out with him a little bit. You know, talk with him a little bit. You know, whatever it is. You have a really, really level-headed, great veteran top laner there who's been through it all. He's been to Worlds. He's been through the ups. He's been through the downs. He's kept a calm head through everything. Seems like a really good guy. Seems like a very intelligent person. And, you know, maybe you give a little more responsibility to SOAS to kind of bring Han Sama along. Because maybe something the coaches and the staff are saying isn't getting through to Han Sama. But Han Sama looks dejected. He looks defeated right now. You can see it in his face. It looks really bad. And that's not a new emotion. You know, we see that in other sports, and we've seen that in even other games. You know, we've seen it in the FGC when you know, high-level, you know, fighting game players start to lose a lot in big situations. And you can just see it on their face. Then they start to lose going forward, even though they're still the better player. You know what I mean? We saw that with plenty of guys like that. So, again, that's a situation that comes down to infrastructure. But, you know, it's kids in charge of kids right now.
Yeah.
And someone needs to be an adult around there and start adulting. Yeah, it was just a sad game for Misfits. But congratulations to Rogue. And you're off the board, guys. You're doing good. But let's move on to our last game of the weekend, and this was pretty awesome. This was pretty awesome. OG, you know, the Deficio kids come through and you know, finally knock G2 down a peg maybe. This was Nuke Duck Nuke Duck popped off today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, I can't imagine could have possibly. Oh, somebody played Silas. They lost. Yeah, there. Okay, never mind.
There it is.
No in-depth analysis here. The champion is so bad. The best team in Europe that hasn't lost all year picks him and they lose. Like, that's how bad that champion is, and he's pick ban right now in that
Right.
league. It's you can't explain it. There's something going on behind closed doors with that champion. I'm convinced of it because there's no statistical analysis that would tell you ever that he needs to be picked banned or that he should ever be played. And he's both. He's completely picked banned and played all the time. I mean,
Right.
I just don't understand it. But whatever. He fed 4 kills. Didn't look good on him. You know, Jankos is on the lead. Had an okay game, but he died a little. He was their only engage since they didn't have a good top. And then Pike support with Sivir.
No.
Perks on Sivir, you know, he's okay. He got him off of his mage kick,
Right.
so now he's got to play a real AD carry.
You've been saying it for 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad people are listening, but man, alive, I don't know what's going on there. I wouldn't have gone with the Pike. That even not even in retrospect, like looking at it going in, I don't like Pike support for Perks down there in that bot lane, and then
I don't like it for Sivir.
Origin's on a really odd, kind of a weird comp there themselves. I mean, extremely odd. They take the Rakan without getting the Zaya. They take a Zed mid into a cast, so I guess they baited the best player in the West into taking a really good champ and then punished him for it. Whatever. And then Cold, that kid, he's
trashy.
I think he's the most underrated
right? He
jungler in LE right now. Jankos is still better, Jankos, whatever, but Cold's good, man. He's very, very good, and he put the smackdown on them with the Karthus today.
Yeah, Cold is very good. For those of you that don't know, that's trashy. He's been around for a while. He's never been bad. That's not what I mean by it. But this just seems like an organization that he got into. Maybe the name change, you know, fresh start for him. He's looked amazing, but Nuke Duck is this is the year of the duck right now. I mean, he put Caps in a body bag, and just that first kill on him, that was Caps completely disrespecting Nuke Duck. He was way too far up once Nuke Duck got his ult. Nuke Duck's got his ult. He's got Ignite. And it's not like Nuke Duck is some surprise. You know, Nuke Duck's been around for a while and been a very, very good player for, you know, an extended period of time here. So but he just clapped him, just insta kill, walked away with the kill, and that was the end of that lane.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see because I'm with you. I'm going right back to the Silas thing. They got it. They even got a kill up there first. Actually, they dove him with his ult. Jankos had an amazing play where he kicked Alfari when he ulted, so he didn't get to
Uh-huh.
ult anybody. And then Wonder stole his ult and used his ult on him to stun him under tower. But and then Jankos got the kill onto Cold there under the tower, but then died himself. And I think most people will go, Jankos won't care. He got the gold. I'm not giving Karthus any extra gold or an extra stack
Mhm.
of Dark Harvest because that's what you gave him too. You didn't just give him gold. You gave him another stack of Dark Harvest, which is a big no-no. And then something we talked about last week, and we're going to keep continuing to talk about it because OG is on the rise right now. They look really good, and their 80 carry is solid. This Patrick
Yes.
kid is good, and he's with a very, very good support, EU Mithy, as they say.
Hmm.
But Mithy has looked great down there. This team has just looked awesome. It took them a little while to get going, um, but I think this is something, we've been harping on a little bit today. I think they've shown their organizational strength. They have a lot of support behind them. They have a lot of smart people behind them.
Yes.
That told them, don't worry about it. Just keep playing our game. We'll get it together. We'll start crushing. Don't worry. We got good players. Nuke Ducks looked good pretty much every week. I mean, he's played really well. So has Patrick. Um, they started out bad, but they have looked absolutely phenomenal, if not the second best team in Europe right now.
Yeah. Yeah, they are the second best as of right now after those plays and how Vitality's kind of, been so up and down.
Yeah, who
Schalke's
knows where
fallen off a
Vitality's
little
going to be?
bit. Misfits has fallen off. They started off really hot, so they're number two for sure for me anyway in LEC, and they're solid all around. I mean,
Yeah, it's a great
that's
draft
why
by them.
I ban Zed every game in solo
Hmm.
queue. They should listen to me. I can get rid of that guy. Get him. That's he shouldn't be good. That's just crazy that worked. That's one of the greatest upsets of the year because in League of Stopwatch, Zed is useless. He should be useless. I mean,
Right.
everybody on the team can buy a stopwatch and just use it as soon as he death marks. He shouldn't get any kills, and he goes 5-1
Hmm.
and 4 against the best team in the
Well,
West.
and into a
Hands down,
Sivir.
the best team. Yeah, yeah. It's just
She
wow,
can spell shield it, so.
just crazy, just crazy. It was good.
But he got
A
that kill
really good
before
game.
stopwatch was activated,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then he was already. I think he was 2-0 by the time stopwatches even became a thing in the game. Um, Cold was pretty proactive on the Karthus, which was surprising. You don't see a lot of Karthuses trying to get in fights until they're at least level 6, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that was interesting. And I mean, there was one time he ulted, and Nuke Duck had already blown someone up, so he didn't even get the proc off that. But look, I'm not going to say OG's better than G2 because they beat him today. Like that's
No.
not. I think G2 had overall. I think their draft was bad. I mean, they had a Silas, which is just terrible, and I don't the Pike pick with Sivir. Pike with something that can help you. Like a Pike with Jinx is interesting because he pulls him back. You throw the chompers behind him. He also has it
Yep.
stun. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do there, but with Sivir, she can't do anything to help
No,
Pike
he
in that situation.
needs
So.
layered CC.
Right, right, right.
That's his whole thing. That doesn't work on that team.
Right. And you don't need more damage on that team either. And that's what Pike brings to that table, So
Hmm.
you don't need more damage. I mean, Pike can't get in the middle of that fight. He get one shot by Zed, he get one shot by Kennen. He'll get destroyed by Karthus. So
Yeah.
it's just, it was odd. It was kind of
And they're the ones that banned Alistair and Braum, just so they
right.
ended up with a Pike.
Mhm.
Man, that's oof,
It
oof,
it seemed like G2 was
backfired.
feeling themselves today, and it was something a couple people had talked about on the cast at the desk. Um, there wasn't only one person who was going to pick OG today, and I don't think it was only because OG is playing really good and they have a good team, and Nuke Duck's looking really good and Patrick and stuff like that,
Mm.
and a good organization. But I think this was, it just seemed like this was the time. G2'd been popping off so much, and then yesterday was just such a stomp, and they were kind of feeling themselves today, so they were like, we're going to go Silas, we're going to change it up. Ooh, Cassiopeia's open. You know, it seems like they even kind of baited the Cassiopeia into him. Like, yeah, go ahead, pick Cass. Take it bot, take it mid. We don't care. You know, it seemed like they were going with Zed no matter what, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they knew what they were going to do.
Right. Right. And it was just an interesting game because I think it's good for G2. You know, a lot of people would argue, oh, we wanted to see him go 18-0 or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's great. But I think this was good for G2. It's a good time to lose a game and just kind of be like, okay, we were feeling ourselves a little too much. You know, if we're going to do this next time, maybe we do it against Rogue or something like that. You know, and it was awesome to see OG. I mean, that's going to give them a ton of confidence.
Yes.
And they're already
that's
playing
good.
Huge. Yeah, so they could be really dangerous going forward. And like I said, no matter how good G2 is, Europe's always going to have a dangerous playoff schedule because you're probably going to have to play Vid at some point. And who knows with them? I mean, you know, 1 minute they're world champions, 1 minute they're just, you don't know what's going on there. And OG, by the time playoffs comes around, could really be clicking on all cylinders, and they could put up a really, really good fight with G2.
Yeah.
Going forward. So I think Europe was already really interesting. I think it got a lot more interesting this weekend. Misfits is a mess right now. Fnatic's a mess right now. I don't know how Fnatic fixes that thing. I'm going to just in closing say, like I said before, someone needs to put their arm around Nemesis and build him back up. You need to give that kid some confidence. You need to explain to him that if he is going to be starting, you're not pulling him out of the game. Like I said, I've been through this. I've talked about this. I've seen this, you know, this happen to many professional athletes in those situations where you kind of just go over to them, they're playing bad, and you explain to them, look, dude, no matter what happens, you're going to start every day. This is part of your development. We're not worried about it. Don't worry about it, okay? Just go be you. Go play you. Don't worry about your stats. Don't worry about how good you're playing right now. Just go play. And it's overnight. You know, they might not start popping off, but you immediately see it's just a different type of player, right? They feel comfortable. They're not worried that they went 0 for 4. You know, they still go out and play good defense or you know, what happens in those situations. They start to become themselves and they start to learn their limits. They start to understand how good they are at something. Because these guys are very good at this game, and right now, I think you've let Nemesis's confidence go so long. Today was it was the breaking point. That was somebody who was just no idea where they were. You know, they were just lost in space. There was plenty of opportunities to go in and do something. You just can't make a decision. Almost frozen in fear, it seemed like. And that's an organizational problem. That is not a Nemesis thing. That's an organizational problem. Someone needs to help that kid. And they need to explain to him that you're starting every day, at least for the rest of this split. Just go be you, buddy. You know, if you make some mistakes, you make some mistakes. The rest of the team isn't playing great around you anyways. So we're going to play through Reckless. So don't take the – Reckless can take the pressure, right? He can take the stress. He's proven that. He wants it. Exactly. He wants it. And it's on him, but I feel like no one's told Nemesis that. You know what I mean? He's still going to take that pressure. You just explain to him you're not Caps. Don't worry about it. Just be you. Just go play the game. But like I said, it's something I keep harping on, but it's really hard for me to watch. And it's really frustrating because, it's not always an easy thing to fix, but there's an easy start to the process. And someone just needs to grow up around there, and they need to get better people. And I know I don't know what's going on in that organization. I don't know anyone there. I've never been there. But I can just tell you from the way they're playing and the way their mid laner's acting, and just his facial expressions and how he's playing in the games, that they need to get someone in there. They need to do something. They need to change something organizationally there, and I don't think it's the players. So, Misfits, I think Misfits will be fine. They just really need to, kind of a similar situation, except Han Sama's been through it. You know, maybe give Soaz a little more, like I said, responsibility with that team. Just give Soaz a little more responsibility of being like the veteran guy for them. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna take somebody to step in, somebody outside, maybe even that isn't a part of it right now,
Mm-hmm.
because who's part of it right now? It isn't working. So it's gonna might have to be somebody step in from the outside to really get them back on track, or they'll have to make a move. But that's why they get paid the money. They got to make the big decisions. That ain't for us to sit here and make. But it ain't gonna be that interesting to tune in every week if Fanatics 3-9, 4-10, going
Yeah,
through.
it's not.
It's not that interesting. So hopefully they do something.
Yeah, both of those organizations need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think they're in similar situations, right? You know,
Yep.
so I don't know how else to put that other than Misfits is going to be in the situation we said Fnatic was going to be in this week, next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Misfits needs to go 2-0 next week, or you're going to be, because Origin's playing really well, and then above them you have Schalke, who's good, Vitality, who's Vitality, and Splice. Those are three solid teams who've had solid games. But you also, that's not even counting SK, who's been solid too. SK has plenty of chance. I don't think you need to worry about Excel and Rogue. That's fine. I really don't think you have to worry that much about Fnatic right now. I think Fnatic's got its own issues, but if you're Misfits and you want to get into those playoffs, you can't go one. I don't think you can go 1-1 next week. I don't think you can come
No.
out of next week at 5-7 and expect to be in a good position to make playoffs because G2 is gone. So the one position's pretty much over at this point. I don't see G2 losing too many games. They don't play Origin again. Schalke can pretty much go 1-1 the rest of the way out, guaranteed a playoff spot. Vitality the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. So you're in a really, really rough position now, and you can't go 1-1 next week. You need to start putting some pressure on those teams because there's a decent chance Origin, only loses a game or two on the rest of the way out with
Yeah.
the way they're playing right now. So I don't know if you're looking at it personally, looking at the standings. At this point, do you think Misfits even does Misfits have a chance of getting back into that playoff hunt?
Well, they do because there is enough, weaker teams for them to feed off of. Um, if they could go on a run, and I'm trying to find their schedule because it's I don't know, kind
Misfits.
of hard to come up with here, but
Um,
um,
I'll bring it up right now. So next
yeah,
week they got Origin, game one they got SK, which is right above them, so they have to win
yep,
that game, and then they got
yep.
Origin the next on Sunday.
Yeah, so I mean it's set up good for them because, well, you know, yeah, it'd be nice to play Rogue and maybe get a win or what you would think is a win, but it does you more good to beat the two teams above you in Origin and SK. So that's the perfect lineup for them to do it. Now, whether they can beat those teams or not, I don't know. Not the way they're playing right now. That's for
Right.
sure.
Well, you got to get into
They
that
have the
sixth spot.
capability
So,
to do it. They have to what?
well, I mean, right now for the playoff, they're a game out of playoffs right now with
Mm-hmm.
SK. So
Mm-hmm.
if they win, they're tied with SK for that sixth spot at the moment. I just don't see them finishing the rest of the season out unless something drastically changes better than SK.
Yeah, I don't know. They got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 8 matches left
Yeah. Hmm.
for the split. So I, you know, they're a game back SK. If they go 4, do they make playoffs? Do you think?
If they go 4-4,
4-4 in their next 8. You just go 1-1 every week. Do they?
finish
Is that going to be good enough to
8 and
finish in the
10.
playoffs?
No, I don't think they
No.
make the playoffs at 8 and 10.
Then I don't think they make it because I think that's about as good as they can expect with just the way they've been playing, the way their drafts have been going. Uh, they should win a game a week, and they'll probably lose one a week. I
Hmm.
think they'll finish about 8 and 10. That's where I would guess they would finish anyway.
Yeah, I think if they beat SK, I think they're going to lose to Origin on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I said, unless something drastic happens, because they have the talent to beat someone like Origin. But Origin's playing really well, but Febby will be fine against Nuke Duck.
Hmm.
And Han Sama's got the talent to run into that bot lane. That's not a problem.
Right.
It's not like their support isn't very good either. They have a good team. I mean, it's just if they beat SK on Saturday, if they beat SK on Saturday, I'd give them. I would say I think they have a 50-50 of making the playoffs. If they
Yep.
lose to SK,
Yep.
I think it's over. And I know that's early. It gives them 7 games after that, but I think if they lose to SK, puts SK at 6-5, puts them at 4-7, and I think it's over for them. I don't think they're catching them. I mean, well, here's the thing. Could they still make playoffs and not play great? Yeah, because the other teams could beat up on each other, right?
Right.
You know, you could start losing a lot of that separation. G2 could add a lot of losses to teams that, aren't necessarily going to lose a lot of games going for the rest of the way, and so could Origin. So yeah, I mean, besides their game against Origin, you want someone like Origin to just run through the other teams because it starts knocking them down a peg while you're trying to gain ground. But you lost a game you had to win, right?
Hmm.
So you don't get to count on that game anymore, essentially those free games. And that's why I think Fnatic in this situation, after this weekend, going 1-1 is in the same situation. Like, I don't think there's any way Fnatic can make the playoffs now because you've already lost too many games that you should have won.
Yeah.
So, if Fnatic's 5-5 right now, you're probably going. Even if they're 5-5 right now, I'm still going. I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, 6 slots out of 10 is quite a bit. You know what I mean? We're getting into NBA levels if everyone makes the playoffs, but
It is.
yeah. So for a decent team, it's almost harder to miss the playoffs than it is, for anything else because Excel and Rogue are going to be at the bottom of the table. So really,
Right.
you're fighting for 6 slots out of 8. It's really surprising. This bottom 4 right now is half not surprising at all, and half like I can't believe this is happening right now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Europe's a very interesting league, whereas NA is kind of like whatever. That's what you expected,
Hmm. Yeah.
But I think the overall level of play in Europe's been a little bit better too.
Yeah, it's been shocking too what G2's done. I didn't think that was going to work quite that well for them.
Right.
So, I see them being, 9-1 is set. If they were at 10, 7-3 or 8-2
Sure.
is fine. I just didn't think they'd be undefeated going into week 5 for crying out loud. That's absolutely ridiculous. That worked so well.
And they were
I thought there'd
smashing
be some
people.
more growing pains with what they were trying to
Yeah.
do, but so that's actually made the league a little more goofy because that's at least 2 or 3 more wins some other teams should have that they
Definitely.
didn't get because no one can touch them.
And
so.
until they lost today, none of the games have been close. I mean, they've been
it's
stomped.
smashes.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I think everybody looking at this league at the beginning of the season probably expected G2 to probably be number 1. But I think most people's biggest argument was going to be, well, Fnatic's going to be up there too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's been
Incorrect.
yeah, to say the least. So, but there's always a summer split for Fnatic. So, that'll be it for us. I appreciate you joining me, Slink. And
Anytime.
we will see you tomorrow night for the LCS rundown after we get done with those games. Interesting weekend. There's always some good games today, so we'll see everyone tomorrow night. Thanks.